Why did events in Glencoe between Campbells and MacDonalds on the 13th of February 1692 leave such an indelible mark on the psyche of the Scottish nation? Why? It's not because of the number of deaths. I can think of two massacres right now that involved greater killing. One perpetrated by the Campbells and another carried out by the MacDonalds on the Campbells. But here's another question. What if the troops who committed the Glencoe Massacre were just as much victims as those they murdered? If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. And please, if you enjoy the video, then like it, share it, and watch the next one. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. What happened to the perpetrators after the Glencoe Massacre? Retribution? Redemption? Exoneration? Karma? What happened to the Argylls? Is it the beauty of that glen of weeping and the incongruity of the backdrop that preserves this atrocity in amber? More likely, the fact that it was murder under trust when promises of safety had been given. I've been making a series of videos in the Boots Bar in Glencoe's famous Clachagin, but today I'm taking you to a different location to ask, what happened to the regiment of Argylls who perpetrated the massacre on behalf of King William? Argyll's regiment of foot were formed in April 1689, the year after James VII was deposed in the Glorious Revolution, or the Dutch invasion, depending how you look at it. This new regiment was the first official regular Highland regiment, not militia, but actually part of the Royal Army, raised by Archibald Campbell, Earl, and then later 1st Duke of Argyle. Now at that time, regiments tended to be named after their colonel, so that's why they were called Argylls. Obviously, it would be run by a lieutenant colonel and other officers, I'm sure you can imagine. Now the easy next line to say is that they were formed in response to the Jacobite threat. But when it comes to history, nothing happens in a vacuum. I'm going to assume that you all know about the Wars of the Three Kingdoms, which included the English Civil Wars. Roundheads and Cavaliers, Oliver Cromwell and Charles I. But I've got a surprise for you. The guy who owned this house behind me here was a royalist during those wars. None too happy when Charles I got his head chopped off. When Charles II was restored to the crown, our man continued to support the Stuarts. When James VII succeeded Charles, our man here still supported the Stuarts. Who did this house belong to? Archibald Campbell, 9th Earl of Argyle. Somewhere along the line, something must have changed. How is it that by the time of Glencoe, the Campbells were arch enemies of the Stuarts? Let me know in the comments if you'd like a video about that. All you need to know for now is that during the reign of James VII, this guy had his head chopped off for treason, and it was his son Archibald, the 10th Earl of Argyle, who raised that Argyle regiment. Young Archie was keen as mustard to raise a regiment to stick it to the supporters of James, who in time we'll know as the Jacobites. Nobody's thought of a name yet. It's early days. So, young Archie appoints a lieutenant colonel. In practice, the role's carried out by a guy called Robert Duncanson. He'd been involved with Archie's dad in the past and would prove notorious in the Massacre of Glencoe. I mentioned him in other videos in the series. Captains were appointed and men were recruited. Like Duncanson, most of them weren't called Campbell, but a lot of them probably rented, lived on, or had some connection to Campbell lands. So James has been overthrown by William of Orange, and Argyll's regiment is raised by an ardent Williamite in the midst of his glorious revolution to oppose the Jacobite forces. First, their garrison in Perth to secure that area after Jacobites had won a victory at the Battle of Killiecrankie. And then they moved to Oban, then by boat to Fort William. That is where we most remember them. Now, this is where we're going to skip forward. I'm going to assume that you know about the massacre itself. If not, then click the link top right to watch my video on the Glencoe Massacre. Now, I'll be going deeper into the details of all this and the very places that they happened on my Everything You Wanted to Know About Jacobites tour in April. Over 7 days, I'll take you to key locations and explain the whole Jacobite period. You'll stay in 4- and 5-star hotels with full board and me as your guide, including a visit to Culloden on the 380th anniversary of the battle at exactly the time the guns started. To come on my incredible Jacobite tour of Scotland, just click the link top right or in the description below for details. Or if in doubt, email alexis@scotlandhistorytours.co.uk. So, what happened to Argyll's regiment after Glencoe? The massacre happened on the 13th of February 1692. In May, Argyll's regiment were sent south to a base in Brentford in England. Now, it's important to remember that the stuff that was happening here in Scotland was part of a wider conflict between France and a grand alliance of European powers, which included William of Orange. William had won in Ireland, but the French had decided to dominate the English Channel so that they could invade and put James back on the thrones of England, Scotland and Ireland. So, with Ireland secure, but the south of England in danger, the Argylls had been moved to Brentford. But not long after they arrived, an Anglo-Dutch naval force gave the French a bit of a kicking in the Channel. So the French decided to stick to the European mainland. Imagine the visuals from the opening credits to Dad's Army. It was a bit like that, but in reverse. And without the swastikas. French fleur-de-lis. Maybe you imagine that. Or maybe we just forget the whole Dad's Army thing. The point is that in early 1693, the Argylls were sent to mainland Europe to fight the French. In the short time that they'd been based in Brentford, an independent journalist had interviewed them about the massacre, but nobody official wanted to know. When commissions of inquiry were set up, nobody went to Flanders to interview the men about the events in Glencoe, and none of the men were brought back to give their account. In July 1693, the men of Cowell, Lorne, Kilbride and Stirling, who had followed the call of young Archie 4 years before, who had besieged Jacobites, then murdered innocents, fought their first real battle. They were given the job of marching towards the French redoubt fortifications at a place called Dottingham. In the vanguard of the Scots Brigade were the company of Argyle Grenadiers who'd done the killing at Glencoe. They marched in unison, muskets shouldered, as balls whistled overhead, past and into them. As comrades fell, they marched on in the July heat, the sunshine from above as relentlessly unceasing as the hail of lead from the front and side. By the time they reached their objective, very few were left alive. I'm told that those who did survive that suicidal march joined their English colleagues in burning, looting, robbing and raping their way through the nearby village. Revenge, murder of innocents, bravery in the face of fire. What I found most difficult in writing this video is trying to decide what I'm supposed to feel about the men who, under orders from above, or sometimes spontaneously, thoughtlessly took the lives of others, but also threw away their own lives so cheap. So huge were their losses that day that apparently they weren't sent into service for another 2 years. When they were, Overall command was held by a Danish general who it said surrendered lamely, and he was executed in punishment. Amongst the Argylls, Duncanson, who we've mentioned, refused to surrender and broke his sword. Soldiers tore their colours from the staffs and burned them. Argyll's regiment of foot was disbanded in February 1697. Later, the 91st Argyllshire Highlanders Regiment of Foot was raised from the same area in 1794. 1881 saw the formation of the Argyle and Sutherland Highlanders. This is their museum in Stirling Castle. Are they the same? Who are the goodies and who are the baddies? I sometimes hear folks talk in vitriolic terms about the Black Watch because of their role in the Jacobite years. Yet every Armistice Day, the Black Watch that I think of is my granddad in the trenches of World War I. Different times, different places, different men. One regiment, duty, honour, bravery, savagery, murder. All too often, our definition depends on whose flag we wave. From our William Wallace to the wickedness in the Middle East today. Somehow, each side finds allies. My most popular videos look at the facts and ask some of the deeper questions surrounding the Massacre of Glencoe. So who gave these men their orders? There's a video coming up on screen now. You really should watch it. Support the channel by clicking top right to become a Patreon member or buy me a coffee in the description below. In the meantime, ha' mi an dochas gwn be lam alive. Cheery and Drast.